All right, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Kick this thing off here. Mr. Blue should be able to hear, see the screen, all that good stuff. Welcome, welcome. Today's date is September 16th, 2025, and I will go through pre-market prep for about an hour, give or take us to the open, and see if we have some potential setups to take off set open. Been having a couple of internet issues as well, still display. So just if the mic goes out, just let me know. Put that in chat. Appreciate that. All right, TradePhantoms.com. I'll start off here real quick. We got welcome to everybody here. We did have, I should say, a couple of minutes ago, about 20 minutes ago, give or take, core retail sales in the U.S. here. That was a hit point there for economic news. And just have forexfactory.com, just a basic kind of outlay of economic calendar. And the big news is going to be, of course, tomorrow, being Wednesday, the 17th. Of course, we should all know that we have the FOMC economic statement in the Fed funds rate. So they're going to be talking about that tomorrow, whether they're going to be cutting or not. If you look at the Fed Watch tool, there's a very high percentage chance. I'm not going to get into it right now, but there's a very high percentage chance that they will cut 0.25% points. So we'll see what that looks like. Tomorrow morning, I'll be with the live trade group with Phantoms, and we will always prepare for that, give a couple of key takeaways regarding that. I'll get to the charts in a moment here, but before I do, I'll start out with futures. But before I do that, I always bring this document up here. Very important. We have demand and supply, institutional demand and supply is the main strategy at Phantoms, right? Multiple time frame, top-down multiple time frame analysis approach. So in the backdrop, you will see, on my charts, I should say, you will see a lot of colors, orange, yellows, and blues. The reason being for that is I color code certain time frames. So orange is the designated monthly time frame. Yellow is going to be weekly. Daily is going to be color code blue, right? So therefore, I know what I'm looking at there for demand, supply zone, VWAP, so on and so forth. Here is going to be the bullish candlesticks. By definitions, there's a bunch of fancy names on these. I always kind of bring this up. But location and context is going to be most important. So where are these candlesticks located? Typically, bullish candlesticks, you want that to be happening in the context of an uptrend in demand. And we have bearish candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names, but location and context being most important. Of course, we want to be looking at bearish candlesticks in the context of downtrends into supply, if you got that, okay, or supply zones. Bull market, I know there's not a lot of tickers or stocks in a downtrend as we are in a bull market. And of course, we got this liquidity map, which is super important. We talk about this, of course, with due time inside of the trade room and also at the classes at Phantoms. Going over to futures, take a swim here. I'll start out with the major four indexes. Futures did roll over, by the way. Okay, so we are on the Z. That's the S&P futures. We are on the Z contract. Okay, so it's the final year. So September is over. The third Friday of September is when the futures expire, index futures, I should say, which is the 19th, right? That's going to be this Friday. The index futures expire. Okay. But they already rolled over into the new contract, so they're already over into the Z. So most of you futures traders and futures platforms, I'm sure, have rolled over into that ESZ contract now. Or if you trade in the minis, it'll be MESZ. Or if you're trading Nasdaq, it'll be MNQZ 2025, of course. So we're in Q4, folks, right? And getting out of Q3 and entering into Q4. So on the final the final stretch of the year, as we see. So I'm going to put the major four indexes here, just really briefly. So I got the S&P upper left, Nasdaq upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 bottom right. And of course, the parties in the S&P and the Nasdaq, right? So we got Nasdaq now all-time highs. We got S&P's now new all-time highs. We got Dow kind of grinding its way. We get Russell 2000 just as a lagger. So mainly Phantoms, we focus we can trade anything, right? But mainly we focus on the S&P and the Nasdaq is the kind of the two dominant indexes, if you will. I'll pop this open, and you can see here's the current price. So we do have a gap up over that due to the rollover. But as you'll notice in a moment as well, the SPY and the Qs, the S&P 500, that is, and the Nasdaq QQQs, that say SPYs and Qs, they're gapping up there as well. So you'll notice that as well. So a little bit of a gap up just due to the rollover, but also just the price action as well is up. So it kind of formed this big gap here. So we can, of course, just recognize that. So here's a daily time frame of the S&P futures. I look down and left, and there's really not much to say, folks. It's just a bull market, right? Now, bull market, up, all-time highs. We'll be talking about this. It's kind of getting boring now, right? There's really no objective level of supply above, to keep it short and sweet. So we have to look at other things and open interest in options, okay, to help with futures. And there's something called options depth and GACs and all this kind of stuff that's super advanced. But that's one of the things that Phantoms members are looking at for overhead supply. Okay, for overhead supply. I'll get to that in a moment because there's no objective level of supply if you look at the charts, right? We're at all-time highs. So therefore, we have to look at new money or new orders coming in. And if you know how to read the options market, that could help you kind of put a glass ceiling on top of the day, just for the day, right? So you have to be careful. I mean, I say glass ceiling because, okay, great, we can easily just continue to just pop a new highs. We're in the abyss, okay? So same thing for NASDAQ, right? Same thing for NASDAQ here. There goes the gap up. I'm sure everybody's seeing that. A lot of that is due to some rollover, but also we got the Qs up as well. Okay, so we were talking about this all-time high, and eventually, yeah, be careful with this. Be careful with this because it could easily just pop, boop, boop, new high. So there we go. Right. So now mean reverting pending, of course. Now there's people and traders talking about okay, great anticipation of cuts, and then you buy the rumor, kind of sell the news type deal, right? So, but we'll see. Just be careful with that. One thing I'm going to be a little cautious for today, just within my experience, and this is probably going to be said for more tomorrow, is typically during a Fed day, or especially a Fed day or kind of the Fed week, markets don't like to move as much typically as they're kind of like waiting for that quote unquote catalyst or event to take hold. But that's tomorrow is going to be the event. So we'll see how, we'll take today into today. We'll cross tomorrow's bridge when we get there tomorrow, as they say, right? But yes, I will say we're kind of up here, right? We're kind of up here. And so, mean reversion, could be pending here. All right. So I'm going to try to do my best with the Phantoms members and groups to help with that. Can somebody just give me a mic check? Can somebody just put in the chat, like, y'all hear me, or am I just talking to myself here? Just so I know things are going good, because I'm not at home right now, so the internet's been really fishy. So if nobody responds, I'm just gonna leave because I think I'm talking to myself right now. That said, I'll move on here. I got a monthly on the left, I got a weekly here, and I got a daily here on the left, just to give you all the lay of the land. That's monthly, weekly, daily. And I'll drop down to the 60-minute time frame here. I got a 60-minute time frame upper left, 30-minute time frame bottom left, 5-minute here in the middle, followed by a 2-minute time frame there on the right. Think or swim here. Pop open this 1-hour time frame. One of the first things we do is map out our Globex high here, Globex low, overnight high, overnight low, represented by these blue lines. So here's the current price, 1-hour time frame. And if I look the strategy is if we were to break the Globex low, I'm looking down and below the Globex low, down and left, and looking for an institutional level of demand below said Globex low to trap traders who are looking to sell or sell short below Globex lows into levels of demand. Yesterday, being Monday, this is yesterday's low here. So definitely want to make a note of that. I have a line already drawn there, so I'll duplicate that. And this is going to be yesterday's low. Now, a lot of folks will be looking at this as this potential quote unquote gap fill here, right? And so be careful with that, because what they'll do, just like they do in stocks, they'll trap some people that are looking to fill that gap, and they'll break that low right there, okay, and potentially have what's called a trap trade. Okay, so I'm going to put that on the board here, which would be qualified as a what's called G trap. Now, I know I just mentioned that you need to look at institutional level of demand. Now, you don't see anything here, it's all gap, but this is where we can have what's called, I guess, gap traps. I guess you could call it that, right? So here's a gap trap long. All right. Put that there at 66.35. All right, if you look down left, inside of that. I can see there's going to be some liquidity there, so there's really not much of a great formation here at all on the smaller time frames, but definitely would want to reference this level of demand right below this low. Just reference this kind of level of demand that kind of formed early Monday morning before the market opened here. So I will put this here as a potential G trap, 66.55, call it. All right, I'm going to put an aggressive notation on this, as the level was formed overnight, and it's not the greatest level. In addition to that, okay, so I got two kind of hit points here, that 66.55, okay, and the 66.35 right below that 66.41, give or take, which is yesterday's, aka Monday's low. Okay, so this is going to be some decent area for potential some liquidity sweeps. Bear trap short. Bull trap if we were rally up above Globex high. There's no objective level of supply, so therefore we have to use, Phantoms would be using, of course, the options depth there. Okay, I'll get to that in a moment. Make sure that's loaded. Going on to the NASDAQ, mapping out our Globex traps. One hour time frame here. We got Globex high. We got Globex low. Institutional level below Globex low. I'm going to reference this area here. Demand, that is. Watch out for the G trap right below here, or the cap trap. Liquidity 24,300. G trap long. Gap trapping. 24,300. We suggest, it could be even a couple points lower too. Even number. It just broke the even number, right? So trap. Decent there. If you're a little more aggressive on this, you see some formation inside of that. There's a little guy right here that at least the NASDAQ does have a little bit of an impulse-basing impulse. This was the open yesterday too of yesterday. Regular trading hours in the darker space right there. That's regular trading hours. This is overnight. So there is something here in that is impulse-basing impulse called 24,450. I will put an aggressive notation on that one, as that dropped down a very small time frame. It's that impulse-basing impulse right there. So it's going to be super aggressive. I wouldn't say super aggressive, but aggressive to say the least. It comes in about 24,455. Fair enough. All right, so there's some two levels there. Watch out for yesterday's low sweep. Pretty simple there. Globex high, Globex low. G trap one. Potential yesterday's low swipe. Trap some. Look at that gap. Trap some people there. Simple. Objective level of supply above. We don't have it, right? So we have to have an extension higher. My Phantoms will know I train them. Hopefully, I think I'm training them very well. Where out there, if they're executing, you have to have it equal to or new higher high. And again, there's nothing over there to the left, so you have to kind of guess. So we're going to be using the S&P complex options to give us some insight on the upper end of these markets here. Gold futures. Hopefully my Phantom numbers are crushing some gold. Monthly, weekly, daily, just up, coming out of a 1, 2, 3, about 3 to 4 month range in gold. In the monthlies and weeklies are kind of like choppy, but still holding that upper move. Coming into September, into October, nice seasonality, bullish for gold typically, and it's doing what it needs to do, right? Bullish. We've just been, rallying. I get a daily time frame over here. We've been on a basing for a bit there for last week, right? As we broke out, so. We have an impulse, basing, impulse, and then we have another basing. And in fact, I think last week, towards the end of last week, Phantom was like, hey, can you do some quick analysis on gold? And we kind of went through this, and I spoke just in regard to just price action. And I said, hey, we're basing. We just have a plan, kind of two plans here: basing for a potential breakout. All right, and if it continues to chop, you might have to take a couple stop loss if it's not going to break out, or basing. Then we get some potential liquidity sweeps. We break this base lower, come into this impulse level of demand below, ton of demand level down here, 20 period moving average is a filtration as well, some for confluence, and then that could be a fakey breaky to the upside here. So as you can see, we just base, and then kicking off this week, we just went pop new high. So impulse basing, and then we just pop new high here, right? So now that being said, we could still, of course, pull back and have these levels here. Last week's low is going to be down in here too, so we can have potential some liquidity sweeps. But for today, I will go to the 60-minute time frame, all right, and open this up. We have a bunch of levels mapped out. I'm not going to explain too much all the way down here. You can maybe we'll rewind some of the past recordings, and my Phantoms will know, as we already spoke about this level multiple times, meaning down here, this impulse, basic impulse, and we got a couple of 60-minute levels of demand. Was expecting this basing last week to maybe swipe lower so we can get some traps and get some people to maybe sell short down here, traps for some liquidity, and then pop it higher, right? But we just based and we broke higher. Okay, so that's also very simply put, a very solid, just organized plan for that to be the case. You can see even last week we've just been swiping a little bit below Globex lows, right, putting in a wick and then going higher. For today, here's our Globex high, here's our Globex low, gold new all-time high. And if we were to break the Globex low, I'm looking down and left for levels of institutional demand. We do have these previous daily highs here that we already kind of broke. So I'm going to be referencing kind of this area all in here, and I'm going to drop down the small time frames to see what we have in terms of structure and formation within kind of this breakout leg here. All right, and voila, got it. So inside of that box, okay, perfect. I got a prior daily high, and you see how this is a rally up into that daily high, pull back a little bit, and we broke out of it. So what does that mean? Demand. I'm sorry, a little quick little daily high supply a little bit there that I was holding gold down a little bit there. Well, it finally hit, retraced, and then we broke out, which created that nice little pop right there. So this demand level number one as a potential G trap long here. Price point, give or take 36, call it 98-ish. I can't see any chat. I don't know if anybody's saying anything, but for whatever reason. Chat on. But all right. So here's your okay, cool. 36.98. All right, another little guy right here. $98 and $88 as far as demands. All right, decent there. Just a ton of daily lows down in here. So don't want to put your stop loss all the way. See some daily lows. Wouldn't want to put your stop loss. That's too wide on that. So you can work on that. Just as prices get below that G trap, might be some decent decent setup there. definitely want to reference these couple daily lows here. All right. I can still see a potential sweep below these daily lows. Excuse me, apologize. Below these daily, of course, Globex lows all the way up here for today, right? That's going to be on the board for today, right? Already referenced that. Zoomed out a little bit on the 60. Yeah, you got daily lows here, daily lows here. This is last week's low as well. Actually, hold on. This is last week's low. Okay, so watch out for these daily lows, and then this last week's low right in here. Okay, always just keep in mind for a liquidity sweep. So there's some good levels that are forming up here, that are forming. Okay, so in the event that we do get some, gold just like takes a swipe lower. All right, but for today, 36.98, 36.88, and if I look up and left, there's really no objective level of supply on gold. So just be careful with that. As we extend away from the mean, you kind of have to pick an area. And one of the things that could potentially help you, if you know futures, you could go into say / GC and look at the options on futures, or what you can do is use GLD. Right, there's options on futures, but these are not as liquid. That's kind of what we would need, but we can use it as potential reference. Open interest. All right, not a lot of volume, so therefore you can potentially use GLD, which is the ETF for gold. And what I mean by this is you can open up options chains and look at big open interest orders on options above price of GLD, and then you'd have to marry the percentage point move of if GLD got up to 345, up, for example, up to this bigger open interest order block, what would that equivalent price be in gold futures? And you have to just use a measuring tool in terms of percentage. I would need more time to explain that, but we got to move on here. VIX, moving on. VIX, where are you at? VIX volatility index of the S&P 500 complex, 30-day implied vol. A lot more to this. The skinny on this, I got a weekly on the left, I got a daily on the right. Pre-market prep. The skinny on this is going to be a VIX up, market down, VIX down, market up. So opposite, if you will. Now, one of the things I'm noticing here today, it's not up a lot, but it is on an uptick here, up 0.26%, right? And yesterday was up a bit here too, right? Yesterday VIX was just up a little bit, nothing too crazy. I'm not going to exaggerate this. Okay, but yesterday put in an uptick on the VIX, as of course the markets were also slightly up. S&P's had a little S&P's had a little bit slower grind day, but ended up working out pretty nice to the upside. Q's had a nice day there. So as VIX was up, and as the markets were up and VIX was up, you have to be careful with this. Now we have a green bar close, gap up. So this is getting a little bit more what's called novice-like. And with that VIX up a little bit, I'm not exaggerating that, but it is giving us a little bit of a clue there. We have to be extremely careful with this move up. Over this week, over the past couple days, right? Green bar close, gap up, move up, green bar close, gap up, move up, green bar close, gap up. Okay, so it's getting away a little bit there, right? So we have to be a little bit more cautious and keep a keen eye on that VIX, because if the VIX decides to, as we map out the overnight high and overnight low as well, if the VIX decides to do something similar, even what it did yesterday, where it was up, okay, as the markets were going up too, we have to be careful with that. It's giving us a clue that there, even though this rally, even though you see the stock market going up or the index is going up, volatility is increasing, meaning that there is a little bit of something in the backdrop where traders are placing some potential hedge risk. All right. So we'll have to keep an eye on that today, of course, off the back of yesterday. Monday gave us a little bit of a clue. Today being Tuesday, we'll see how this pans out. So I just mapped out the overnight high, overnight low, and I want to see if it holds the overnight high and breaks higher, or if it breaks the overnight low and goes lower. We're going to keep an eye on that. That's very important there. Okay, so be careful. I know it's bull market, but VIX is kind of telling us we have to be a little cautious with this rally here going into Fed. That whole buy the rumor, sell the news type deal, right? So we'll see. Just while I'm here, hitting up the Qs, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Spies. Weekly on the left. Daily on the right. You see last week, beautiful gap up here too again. So green bar close, slight gap up. All right, now SPYs. Pre-market quote, give or take 0.7%. Nothing too crazy there. Well, why did I do that? If I go to the SPX implied open, I'm going to measure this and go over to the options depth for a moment to get some insight. 0.27, give or take SPX implied open, give or take 6620-ish, give or take. Plus or minus 5 in the next maybe 15 minutes, depending on how this moves. So when I say 6620, so if I refresh this and look at 6620 on the options depth, now this is going to be a little bit more advanced. This is market maker gamma exposure. You have to know how options kind of work. All right, so I got the market maker gamma exposure on the left. I got the, just the strike for today's 0 DTE. Then I got charm over there. We don't have to worry about charm towards the later of the day. The main component here for right now in the beginning of the day, the first half of the day, if you will, is going to be gamma. So on the left side here, this is the chain here. So I'm going to zoom in. All right, so implied opens on SPX about 6620, give or take. So I'm going to go to the 6620 handle here. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Hold on. All right, so here's the 6620 SPX price. So in about 14 minutes, ding, 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 market open. If we were to open up here, right here, where we are, if I look above the price, I notice a little bit of a yellow / lighter white and a little bit of a pink area here, which is what's known as a negative gamma node, where market makers are sold calls here. So everything to the left is sold, everything to the right of this axis is bought. Left is sold options, right is bought options, calls in blue, puts in red. So there's a massive sold call, right? Pretty decent there. Strike price 6630. If I hover over that one right there, as you can see, that's kind of an outlier there. That's a sold call to the left. And that sold call at 6630 right there, and the price point is providing what's called a negative gamma regime, if you will. So what does that mean? In the event that we move up, say we're gapping up slightly to 6620, give or take. Above price, there's not really much in terms of positive gamma. There's negative gamma. So that means if the price continues to go up, market makers will kind of go into will market order into this to hedge their portfolio, which could to hedge their book, okay, which could would move price, okay, could move price through these nodes here, and potentially the next positive gamma node here is going to be the 6675. Okay, so 6675, where we have this deep blue in the screen here with this massive to the right axis now bought call 6675, that could provide some supply / resistance. Okay, so up overhead, ding, 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 there's negative gets above. We could sift through this. Okay, now it might not just go right through that. Okay, but if you know options, if the markets pick up some bids, and we start to get some momentum, it could actually pick that up. Okay, it could pick up 6675 could potentially be, again, as we don't have no objective level of supply, we have to use that gamma node options market gamma options market maker gamma to help us there. So in short, this 6670, which I got from here, 75 that is, I'm going to update that. This is where we're going to provide some supply / resistance. Now we're going to get all the way up here, I'm not sure, but in the case that we do, okay, for today, this is going to be where we have a positive gamma node from the market maker's perspective. And in short, all this is going to do is provide supply on the market. And we need this because there's nothing up there in terms of chart prices. Okay. So going into today, I know that the market maker is going to have to hedge heavy. So if this market does go up, market maker is going to have to hedge and dump and sell. Any new move up, into the 75 handle, up into the 75 handle. Market makers are going to sell into that, 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 sell into that. And if that still holds a negative GEX below, okay, that's where we can get a bit more of a mean revert. All right, now that's only give or take what? If we open up here, it's about a 56-point move. It seems like there's no way it will happen, but that's well within an ATR for the day. So, ATR for the day, not well within. I digress. SPX ATR right now, give or take on the 5 days, about 40, 45, give or take 40. So it's a little extended there, right? So if it does get up there today, then this is gonna be a decent area. All right, I'm not sure we're gonna get up there, but definitely noteworthy, and I already have that note there, so I can just move on. All right, but below we do have a bit of a 66. It's not the greatest one, but 6600. There's a little bit of a blue note there. Goes into a little bit of a negative GEX regime, and then we got another one down here, 65, 65. So I'm gonna make those two notes there. 6600. That's an easy one. 6565 below. 66 is easy right there. If this gap fill there, and then 6565 is right here. And this is going to be a positive give note as well, but this is going to be demand coming into the market. In terms of, I'm just giving you kind of a lay of the land above and below. Of course, when that bell rings soon, things are going to develop as we open, right? So there's kind of the S&P complex for right now, giving you more of the conservative kind of area here, if you will. We already just covered some SPYs there, right? We already covered some VIX there. We got Qs. Spoke a little bit about this already, just on fire, right? Doink, new high, all-time high, gap up, move up. All right, watch out for a mean revert. Dollar finally broke down a little bit there. Taking some more profit on my dollar shorts. So I'll let my Phantoms members know, just been kind of working on dollar shorts. Finally starting to break down a little bit from this range that we've started to develop here. Weekly's wick. Finally just broke down finally. So I've been getting some triggers off on GBP, USD longs, Euro, USD longs. I just hit one right now. My phone just went off, and I got an alert from Awanda right now. All right, TP order just got triggered. So I just take your profits on dollar shorts, Euro, USD longs, and GBP US longs. Next stop potentially down into this area here. All right, there's that low that got put in July. Okay, into the first time into that monthly. We cover this. I got kind of go a little more into this too in the live trade rooms. But I just wanted to be aware that I've been telling y'all short dollar, and actually legged into it up here, folks. Right, and now decreasing size down here. GLD. This is one of the. This is of course the ETF for the gold market, right? So we just talked a little bit about futures, and I went to the GLD option open interest, and so as you can see, gold's just on fire here, and all-time highs. The same thing that I just did for say the SPX without market maker gamma exposure, but looking for those outliers, like these big outliers in terms of open interest. That's really the only thing that you can use as far as GLD for just some overhead supply / resistance. But this thing's at all-time high, capping up here, all-time high, GLD, gold. All right, so no Phantoms member of ours has been trying to short gold for macro bearish. No. All right, we've been focusing more on bullish macro picture as we look at the higher time frames, always bigger picture. We got Apple, just going through some tickers here. We got 6 minutes before the open. I'm going to do this a little bit more quick, just for some gaps. I do apologize, my charts are not as organized as what they usually would be. This is like the second week where I'm displaced out of my home office due to fixing a chimney. So I'm just making it work here. Yesterday's high, today's low. All right. No gap really. Nothing to really write home about here. Got a weekly on the left, daily on the right. So we get something better here. Amazon. been choppy on the weekly, but still holding its upper higher low sequence. Now Amazon is going to be having close here, gap up here. It's still slightly as it stands like this in inside gap. But yesterday, I will say, Friday's close here. Yesterday being Monday open here, that was a nice little pain gap. Hopefully, my Phantoms number caught a little bit of some Amazon yesterday, so we had a pain gap. So we opened up the week a little bit of a pain gap on Friday. From Friday to Monday, and we have another close here, a little bit of a top, a little bit of a wick here. We're gapping at around there, so this could potentially get some legs here if we sustain above. I'd say Friday's high, which is up there on that top 10 tail right there. AVGO, just a monster and a beast. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low. My notes are still all bad from earnings, but yesterday's high, yesterday's low was here. We did put in a little bit of a base yesterday, and we're gapping above there. So AVGO is definitely potentially on the list here for a, of course, bullish trade if that's going to stay in there. Okay, just gapping up above yesterday's high, so that's good in the context of a bull market. Hopefully, I'll call Google yesterday. Been working on Google for a couple of days now, for weeks now, weeks and weeks. But we talked about this 1, 2, 3 go. Took some time. Boom, gap up yesterday. And took off. So hopefully I took advantage of that. Google was one of the main things that I was working on yesterday, just personally. Trading, we're going to get some continuation today. We potentially could because we had this basing for a couple of days. We were hoping that we kind of got this pop late last week, right? Ended up getting long Friday. Those options did okay, nothing too crazy. It sucks because the Monday it popped off crazy, right? So we'll see if we get some continuation here. But of course, you have to be careful. It is kind of up here. Right, so we can always have like a digestion day, but after this basing here, nice little pop. We'll see if we get some momentum there. Might be a good trade right off the open there. So AVGO and Google for longs. Tesla, oh my God, Tesla is a beast. I've been really focusing on Tesla a lot lately, not by shorting it, but by going long. Even on Friday, I closed down on Friday, and on Monday we gapped up, kind of a bit of a crazy gap there, right? Green bar close up, and then gap up. So anytime that you get green bar up close, 1 or 2 or 3 would have you, then it's on the big gap up. You have to be extremely careful looking left. We come up into some supply, of course. Okay, so Tesla had a comet spot down yesterday a little bit there, right? So even though we gapped up, okay, have some absorption of supply up here, of course. And yesterday was just kind of a pullback day in there, right? So Tesla is going to do its thing, and intraday tape is going to be extremely important. Right now, it's unique because we have this big impulse move. Of course, we are coming up into some levels to the left. So the question is, if we can have a deeper correction here, right? We got some previous highs that we can potentially use as retest on the other side. But May high, June high, this is the area of 375, which it would have to do a bigger correction to get down here. And Tesla, that could happen pretty quick because it could just move very fast. But this would be a deeper correction down this area here where we were holding up these monthly May high, June high, August highs, what have you, and it was just holding up, and then it just finally just popped, right? So basing, pop. We were talking about how the daily is giving us that higher, low. Okay, I have the Phantom Steam long this thing here, right? Getting paid nicely on it, right? So, we'll see today. Intraday tape is going to be extremely important, right? So, as far as the gap close here, slight gap up, still inside gap, but nothing to really write home about. It's basically going to be where the markets are going to go, meaning indexes. Let me take this off. Indexes and how the intraday tape of Tesla is going to pan out, right? So I got the upper level here of supply coming into 430. All right, and again we got some retests here, gap fill here, down here, call it 390. All right, so we're kind of in the middle of that. So just tread lightly on that. Microsoft trying to play some ball here. We've been talking about this for a little while now. I know some Phantom numbers might be working on this long as a swing. So last week's close was pretty decent. And to keep a short story long, which I never can do, it's starting to become what's called alignment. So yesterday's high, yesterday's low here, slight gap up. Microsoft has been strong this week so far to kick off this week. So definitely one to look at off open again here today, this morning. We're about to open right now. So we just bring this to the daily, put this over the 2 on the right. The video is a little choppy. Nvidia's condition is a little choppy, folks. So be careful trading Nvidia. That was Meta. I apologize, Meta. It's Meta. Yeah, Meta is choppy as well. All right, ding, ding, ding. Market just opened. Let's get over here. Get a quick peek at internals. See, advanced declines fairly zero. Nothing, no edge there. VIX on VIX kind of calm right now. Of course, gap up. Too early for cumulative. I want to see. All right, so we got Google. Not much of a gap. So Microsoft. All right, Amazon was on the board. What's AVGO doing? Amazon AVGO. All right, AVGO. What did you bother to? That doesn't mean short, but it's not what we're looking for the longs. If it was going to fall through, come on, Dickerson, this thing has to fill in for me. Lily. Netflix is interesting as we swiped last week's low on the 20 EMA on the weeklies and outside of two standard deviations on the daily. Netflix could be interesting today with that sweep yesterday, but it has to prove to us on the smaller time frames. We have intermediate little baby supply here, which potentially could get annihilated if those dailies, that sweep yesterday on dailies, pick up. But it has to. It's not giving us the entry yet or the setup on that. Mags are looking healthy. Amazon to go. Meta, nice. Amazon Meta looking decent. Meta's a little choppy on the dailies, but this thing's looking like it wants to build some steam. We're trying to get above this area here. And coming out of a mean revert. So it's not the strongest bullish case here, so we're going to be a little patient, but hood looking good too. right, so we'll pick up some Amazon here. Equal weighted today. I'm gonna wait on it. Just gonna be patient. Hood. Choppy, man. This thing's trying to line up, though, I will say. Choose. Microsoft long call for sure. Careful longs. So SPX 66.15. That's a little little bit of a positive game out here. 66.15. Nothing is reclaiming daily view up above yet. So what's crazy about today so far is AVGO is a little more of a weaker lagger today. You want to attack weakness. S&P is going to fade lower. It's really popping out at me right now at the moment. VIX on VIX higher. Gap up, slight fade lower so far. Nothing too crazy. VIX up. VIX was up yesterday, but we rallied up all day. But VIX on VIX is up. VIX declines more negative, so market's a little heavy. Hood's probably the only thing there. Meta's trying to do its thing. So as the markets are taking a clip lower and VIX high. See how Meta's trying to buck this a little bit there. So if the markets did catch a bid, Meta should potentially go. So I'm going to take a shot here on Meta. We're not closed yet on that positive CRG on the 200 time frame on the right. Oh, I take that back. We just did. So I'm going to get long call here on Meta. So we're trading 770. So we pick up like a 30 delta here for 530, give or take. All right, long call Meta. This Friday's expiration the 19th. Let's just got long that. Pretty heavy. S&Ps. All right, we'll see. This is the premium of the 785 long call on Meta. Premium chart. All right, blues buys, long call, and then we'll see if we get some more targets here. All right, put some targets, right? And make sure you got some targets up here. All right. All right, make sure you hit some targets. All right, just hit some target right there, okay? You see that? Let's keep it moving. Apple. You see just more targets on Meta. Filled, okay. Excuse me. Nobody talking in chat today? What's going on? Can y'all hear me? TP some meta more for yourself. All right, yesterday's high TP meta dumpy, dump them, dump some decent way. All right, well, that's it, folks. I'm gonna head out. I don't even know what's going on in the chat. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if y'all can even hear me, man. The chat is nothing. So I don't know. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, go to TradePhantoms.com, click on register now, and I'm gonna trade myself here. But Thursday, September 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 days from now, right? Name, email, number, click on register. There is of course, 90-minute class that you will go through, hosted by Mr. Black, or Green, Mr. Green. I'm not going to read all this out. Y'all can read. I'm hoping, and if you can't, that's okay. That's good because you don't really need to in trading and learning how to trade, right? I can read the price action, so we'll show you how markets really work. We're all come from the professional side. Myself, Mr. Green, Mr. Black, multi-direction, up, down, sideways, options, right? Small account, bigger accounts. We got people that are just starting out with a couple grand, all the way to multi-millions into retirement, wealth management, right, etc. So come one, come all, not just stocks, futures, forex, options, even crypto as well. So it's a one-stop shop for all asset classes. And check it out. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, that's okay as well. We're not for everybody, and everybody's not for us. And if you want to join the team, that's the way to start there. And that's it. God bless. Take care. I'll see some of y'all later. Blue out. Trade safe. God bless.